Today's topic is the marriage of Christians. I try to find out what marriage is for Christians and what young people about to get married should prepare for. Theologian Paul Stevens says marriage is based on an unconditional covenant to belong to each other for the rest of their lives. Covenant is a promise. A promise is made by a person who can keep it. Marriage is the same. To keep the marriage covenant, being a person to marry is more important than marriage, he says. We can learn something important from this fact. Young people, marriage is not a goal. Marriage is a process. Marriage is an essential gateway to growing up as a Christian, and if you pray for marriage, the first thing to do is pray that you can keep your marriage covenant ahead of it. Marriage is similar to building a house. Even if you have walls and columns and wiring and plumbing and water and heating systems, you can't make a house unless you have the foundation. Likewise, even if you're done with all the preparations to get married, if you can't keep your marriage covenant, that marriage doesn't last long and falls apart. In other words, the marriage of a Christian is made of covenants. This is what Professor Paul Stevens said about his marriage. As a solemn lifelong covenant partner before God, a man and a woman agree to belong to each other until the end of their lives on this land. However, the covenant is not redemption. That kind of marriage turns a family into a prison. So Professor Paul Stevens says the covenant is a resilient link between the two. The covenant between couples provides not lockup but the only basis and hope for love, sexual satisfaction, personal maturity, and spiritual friendship that we want to get from marriage. There is an essential part of the marriage agreement. A marriage covenant is not a promise that we keep while loving each other. The marriage covenant is a promise that we keep while we are alive. To do that, we need to be faithful to each other. The other party must acknowledge that obligation. We have to make it public that two people are responsible for that. There should be a mature personal relationship between the two and a commitment to the promise based on such a promise. Aren't you married yet? Keep this spirit of the covenant in mind and keep it. Are you already married? Then think about keeping the nature of this marriage covenant. Many people believe they are married but are not. Restoring the covenant, the core of biblical marriage, is an urgent task of Christian marriage. When two men and women get married and become partners in the covenant, God is with them. Finally, I would like to emphasize this once again. The purpose of the covenant is to belong to each other, bless each other, and be blessed. Restoring the meaning of the covenant is an essential task for our society in this era. This is the center of the Bible message.